What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Strike-Mvmnt Haze trainer. Alright guys, so these are the brand new training shoe from Strike-Mvmnt that were made in collaboration with Elijah Muhammad. There was a whole capsule that came out. There's a shirt, a hat, and then these shoes. If you guys don't know who Elijah Muhammad is, he's a top level CrossFit Games athlete and definitely one of the fan favorites of the CrossFit world to watch. So the exciting thing about the Haze trainers is that unlike the previous Strike-Mvmnt shoes that were made for training but not necessarily made for CrossFit, the Haze trainers were made with the exact specifications of a CrossFitter in mind. So first off, let's take a look at the construction of the Haze trainers, which to me are like a combination of the newer Vimana trail runners and the interval knits. The upper is made out of a 3D knit jacquard fabric, which has a little bit of stretch to it, but is very, very flexible. There are some thermal panels that are welded inside of the shoe. You can kind of see them from the outside of the shoe. It runs along the ridge of the shoe all the way into the toe cap and then right over the metatarsal area. And then there are some more open mesh panels that are on top of the toe, on the sides of the shoe, to give you a little bit more ventilation throughout the shoe. At the heel area, there's this overlay for the heel counter, which has the Strike-Mvmnt logo on it in gold, and then that also has the Elijah Muhammad print or monogram on it. At the back of the shoe, there's this heel pull tab, which I really like. And then this shoe is a very low cut shoe, but the Achilles is turned in slightly to give you that more secure fit around your heel so you don't really get any heel slip. And then the ankle collar is very, very cushioned on this shoe. The lacing system is pretty standard on the shoe. There's just that same kind of overlay that is at the heel counter on top of where the laces go in. And then the tongue on this shoe has a kind of booty-like design where it doesn't slip around or slide around to the side or anything, which I really like. And it's cushioned. It's not that thick of a tongue, but I think it fits very well. And then these shoes also include the signature Strike-Mvmnt pleasure pocket so that you can tuck your laces into the tongue if you wanted to get them out of the way. On top of the tongue, you do have the Elijah Muhammad monogram print in gold, which looks really, really cool. The shoe only comes in the Phantom Black colorway for right now. I think there are more colorways on the way, but I'm not sure when they come out. So this shoe looks pretty similar to most of the Strike-Mvmnts of the past. It has that understated design, classic sneaker look to it. Some people are gonna like that, some people don't like that. I personally really like it. It blends in to something that you can wear on the streets, you can wear it for travel, you can wear it for training, and it's just a classically designed shoe that looks good in just about any situation that you can put it in. So the midsole of the shoe is pretty much taken straight from the Vimana Trail Runner, which I thought was one of the best midsoles that I have ever used in my life. It uses the Cush 50 midsole that is made from both EVA and EPE foam to give you more bounce and rebound without detracting from responsiveness and cushioning. When I first tried on the Vimana runners, I thought that they would make for an excellent training shoe, but the only thing that kind of held those shoes back was that the outsole was a little bit rounded, so you couldn't get as good contact with the ground. But with the Haze trainers, there is the flat contact area that they took from the normal cross platform, which they're calling the cross platform 2 nowadays. Realistically, there's not a huge difference in the way that the rubber is like. It's pretty much a multi-directional rubber all throughout the bottom of the shoe. It does raise up a little bit on the sides of the shoes to protect against rope abrasion for when you do rope climbs, but otherwise it's a pretty standard multi-directional rubber outsole, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In my testing, I never noticed any loss of grip, and I thought that these were excellent rope climb shoes. Not the best rope climb shoes, but really good. One of the biggest differences in the cross platform 2 with the Haze trainers compared to the previous training shoes from Strike-Mvmnt is that unlike the 2.5 millimeter drop from before, the Haze trainers have a 4 millimeter drop like the Vimana runners. Realistically, you don't notice that much of a difference in the drop, and I still think that it's plenty flat for pretty much all the training scenarios that you're gonna put these shoes through. Another great thing about the Haze trainers is that they come in at only 11.4 ounces for a men's size 10, so they are still a very lightweight training shoe like Strike-Mvmnts have always been. Inside of the Haze trainers, there's a brand new redesigned insole that has a curved design to it that actually cups your foot and holds your foot in place a lot better than the previous insoles on Strike-Mvmt shoes. And this one also breathes a lot better than the previous model insoles that were found on like the last 2 years of Strike-Mvmt training shoes. And then on top of this, there is the Easy Muhammad monogram print, which looks freaking awesome. When it comes to durability, Strike-Mvmts have never really been the best, but after my use in these shoes, which I've pretty much put these shoes through the ringer, and I've done rope climbs, I've not babied these shoes at all, they still look pretty new. There was a little bit of dirt on them after I did some rope climbs. I just took a rag and I wiped it off, and this is the final product. And let me show you the other shoe, which makes more contact with the rope. Really nothing on these shoes. Maybe a little bit of fraying at the laces, but that you come to expect that from normal laces. So when sizing your Haze trainers, I'm gonna recommend that you go with your normal training shoe size this time around. I've had some sizing woes with Strike-Mvmt shoes for the last couple years, but I'm happy to say that those are all gone and these shoes fit true to size nowadays. The toe box is nice and spacious, but the area around the metatarsals does require a little bit of break-in because that thermal panel is a little bit tight initially. These shoes fit generally pretty neutral. There's no arch on them. They're pretty flat feeling, and the fit around the ankle is pretty good if you lace them all the way up, but if you lace them a little bit down like I do, just for convenience of getting my foot in and out of them, then you might end up with a little bit of heel slip. When you do your rope climbs, I definitely recommend that you do lace them all the way up, and you do have the option to lace lock these shoes as well. For Strike-Mvmt shoes, these are a little bit more on the wide side, but Strike-Mvmt shoes are not the widest shoes. They're definitely not like 909 wide or anything, but I think that these shoes should fit a variety of foot shapes pretty well. And like I said, I don't think that you should go with a size up on these ones. I think true to size is the way to go with the Haze trainers. So like pretty much every Strike-Mvmt shoe of the past, the Haze trainers are very lightweight, they're flexible, and they're responsive. They're everything that you've come to know and love from Strike-Mvmt shoes, but in this case, I feel like the balance between everything in the shoe is the best that it's ever been. Maybe because it was made with a CrossFitter specifications in mind, and I'm a CrossFitter, so that's probably why I like these shoes so much. They have pretty much everything that you would need in a training shoe without any kind of fluff. And if I had to compare these to any training shoe that's come out in recent history, it would be to the late great Nano 6, which is widely regarded as one of the best training shoes of all time. These shoes are excellent for pretty much any run that you're gonna do in a CrossFit workout. The midsole is comfortable, it's responsive, it's not overly cushioned, so if you're looking for something like that in a training shoe, this is probably not gonna be the one, but typically training shoes don't have very cushioned midsoles in the first place, but I think that the cushioning in this shoe is more than enough for runs up to 5K, maybe in up to 5 miles. Definitely good enough for pretty much anything that you're gonna find in a typical CrossFit workout. Whether it's on pavement, whether it's on the assault runner, I thought running in the Haze trainers was excellent. Surprisingly better than I thought it was gonna be. For plyometric movements, these are excellent. The responsiveness and lightweight properties of this shoe are very, very good. I mean, doing burpees in these shoes is as comfortable as it could be. The toe box flexes with your foot. There's no hot spots throughout the upper. And I thought these shoes, from anything from box step overs to burpee box jump overs to box jump rebounding to double unders, I feel like these shoes just nailed it on every plyometric front. So what I'm looking for in a plyometric training shoe is something that just kind of disappears, something that you don't notice when you're working out. And I thought that the Haze trainers just kind of disappeared on my feet. I never really noticed them. And for me, since I don't notice any problems, I think that it makes for a good shoe. I've always been a fan of lifting and Strike-Mvmt's training shoes because of the low stack heights, the minimal drops, and the dense responsive midsoles. In the case of the Haze trainers, these ones are a little bit taller than Strike-Mvmt shoes have been in the past. The drop is now 4 millimeters, and the midsole is a little bit more cushioned than it was before. But I never noticed that any of those detracted from the overall lifting experience with these shoes, and I've actually noticed that I prefer lifting in these more than any of the other previous Strike-Mvmnt training shoes that I've worked out in. The 4mm drop, while I don't think is as good for just straight up deadlifting than like the Chill Pill Transits from before, is better for like Olympic weightlifting movements. So there's a little bit of a trade-off, which I'd actually prefer because I still think 4mm is pretty flat overall. And just that little bit of boost that you get from the heel for like cleans, snatches, and jerks makes these an overall better lifting shoe. Squatting and deadlifting in these shoes still felt very good because of the full contact heel area. What I really like about Strike-Mvmnt's outsole is that they're just flat. There's really nothing going on. There's a texture to it, but it's really just flat, and that's just about it. So your squatting movements feel like you're fully connected to the ground. Same with your deadlifting movements. Clean and jerks and snatches still feel really good. You get that little boost of heel height. And overall, I feel like these are some of the best lifting shoes that Strike-Mvmnt has ever come out with. Are they the most stable training shoe that I've ever worked out in? No, not really. But I still think for the majority of the lifts that you're going to do in a CrossFit workout and just on any given training day, these should fit the bill perfectly. I hit a PR 300-pound split jerk in these shoes. I deadlifted or sumo deadlifted 5 reps at 500 pounds with these shoes. And I've squatted pretty much up to like my 85% in these shoes without any hassle, without any troubles. I really like the addition of the thermal panels that are welded inside of the shoe to hold your foot in place. Some of the problems that I've had with previous Strike-Mvmnt shoes is that my feet would slide around a little bit much. That was the issue with the interval knits. And with the Haze trainers, I never noticed that happening. So that is a huge upgrade in the construction and stability of the Haze trainers. So these shoes retail for $150, which is $20 more than your standard $130 Nano or Metcon price. And in this case, I feel like that $20 is completely warranted because these, in my opinion, are some of the best training shoes to come out in a long time. And they might look like real basic training shoes, or just shoes in general, but there's a lot that goes on in Strike-Mvmnt's development and their attention to the materials that they use throughout their shoes. This midsole is one of the best midsoles that I've used for training in forever. It's comfortable, it's responsive, it doesn't detract from lifting, and it pretty much fits in any training situation that you put these shoes in. The upper on these is light, it's flexible, it moves with your foot really well. The fit of these shoes is excellent. This is as good as a training shoe has been or can get in a long time. It has everything that you need and not a lot of fluff. So yeah, if you're looking for a fancy looking training shoe, this is probably not it. But if you like the understated design of Strike-Mvmnt shoes, but you appreciate the technology of shoes, then these are the ones to get. Strike-Mvmnt has a lot of great trainers in their lineup right now, like the Pace, the Interval Knits, but really the only one I think you should be looking into if you're doing CrossFit is the Haze trainer. These are purpose-driven, excellent CrossFit shoes, and I highly recommend that you check them out. This time around, you can get these shoes at Box Basics, you can get them at the Wildlife in Australia, and you can also get them from Wit Fitness if you're in Europe or the UK, or you could just order them straight directly from Strike-Mvmnt.com. They retail, like I said, for $150, and I think that is a fair price to pay for such a good training shoe. If you guys have any questions about the Strike-Mvmnt Haze trainers, feel free to leave them in the comment section. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest CrossFit and fitness reviews. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.